Morning all, and we are now up to July 27th. Oh god, there's a meetup today. Right. And we've got some news of the day kind of stuff here, so cobble it all together, spit it out, see what we got going on. David Rittich, 2 years, 5.5 million, so an average of 2.75 million a year for him. Good contract. And I like it because if you've got a guy who could be your starter for under 3 million, you've got some breathing room to add other players to your roster and to not worry. And again, really with the Flames, it's looking at the amount of money they have left over for Matthew Tkachuk, right? Because while we're talking about all these big restricted free agents, Matthew Tkachuk, for people who may not have been paying attention, had a pretty good season as well. And he is on the verge of being one of the best in the game. He had his issues the year before, but this past season he kept things pretty clean. So Rittich taking probably less money than he could have made if he'd gone through arbitration. They sit down and they go, no arbitration, please no arbitration, as a lot of teams are doing and a lot of players are doing, and so they get it done. There was a trade made yesterday I didn't talk about because it's not a major deal. John Marino, an unsigned draft pick, I should say, ends up going to the Pittsburgh Penguins, and there's a conditional sixth going to the Oilers. So if he ends up not signing with the Penguins and just going back into the draft kind of thing, nothing goes to the Oilers. But if they trade him or they sign him and they get something back for him, then that conditional 2021 sixth-round pick goes to the Edmonton Oilers. So it's just one of those cases where they sit down with the kid and they go, what are you thinking? And the kid's like, I don't want to go to Edmonton. They're like, fine. So they trade his rights. And I honestly respect that a lot. It drives me nuts when a team will sit down with a guy who doesn't want to sign with them and go, well, he doesn't want to sign with us, but he'll reconsider later. Nah, just trade him. Chandler Stevenson gets a 1-year, $1.05 million contract with the Capitals. Very much agreed on that contract. And the Capitals as well are in a little bit of a cap crunch as we stand right now. But they'll get it all figured out. They always do. After the way that it got handled in the summer of 2017, so 2 summers ago, which led into them being cup champs, I have no doubt that Washington will be able to clear up any kind of a cap situation they end up in. Patrick Eaves is an interesting name in that he retired from the NHL, but he's at this tournament. So they have a ping pong tournament every year. This was the 8th year. He has won it 5 years in a row. So it's called Smash Fest, and it starts out as this small little thing organized by Dominic Moore, who played with a lot of teams in the NHL. We'll talk about him in a second. And Patrick Eaves is amazing at it. Eaves states that when he was coming back from injury and he had to work on his hand-eye coordination, they told him to play ping pong, that it's really good for hand-eye coordination. It is. It's a game that can be very frustrating, and I speak from experience, but it's also a game that can be a lot of fun. So I'm glad to see him holding up a trophy at a ping pong tournament, and I think it's great that he has continued to be in the spotlight on any level because he always seemed like a great guy. I never heard anybody on any team he played with say he was anything but a great guy. So nice to see him and see that he's healthy and he's doing well. Fantastic. Him being traded to Anaheim was one of those things that cracked that wall where I hated Anaheim, and then Eaves was there and I'm like, but I love Patrick Eaves. And then Miller goes there and I'm like, but I love Miller too. And then it just sort of wore its way down from there. Ted Lewicki, the owner, at least one of the owners of the Seattle franchise, when talked to about Ron Francis, he basically says that he is the leader to build the culture of the team around. It's a lot of pressure on Francis. Francis would know this in taking the job. He has a job ahead of him where, if he approaches the expansion draft properly and figures things out, you don't necessarily just take the best players available. You take the best team available. You look at what Vegas did. They did that. Where it wasn't just best player from every team. It was best team. They built that team at the expansion draft. And it's something that I look back at previous expansion drafts and I think, that was a different way for Vegas to do it. They had a better unprotected list than any of those other expansion teams in the 90s did. But still, it's a different way to do it, to go, okay, this is our first line, second line, third line, fourth line, before anybody's even gone on the ice. So I would expect Ron Francis to look at that and say that's a great way to do it, and I would expect him to kind of do the same thing. The biggest key for any expansion team is goaltending. You need a good goaltender in order to have a good season as an expansion team. Without that good starter, you're probably in for some hard times, because Getting a good top 6 on the blue line is very tricky as an expansion team. Dominic Moore, when interviewed in and around this tournament, talked up Adam Fox a lot. So the Rangers prospect, who came via Carolina because he wasn't going to sign in Carolina, and he was traded to Carolina by Calgary because they knew he wasn't going to sign in Calgary. So he says that Fox is worthy of all the hype, that Fox is one of the best defensemen he's seen. He slows the game down. He's very good. He's very deceptive to other teams, and he's really good on his angles. He's a really, really good defenseman, and he believes he's going to be an impact rookie right away. Now, if he's as good as what Moore says, and again, Moore played for a lot of teams for a lot of years, so I have nothing to make me think that he's not right about this. If he's that good, the Rangers are in good shape, and the Rangers may very well find themselves trading another defenseman. So if he's that good, and if they ascertain that before the season even starts, we may see another veteran defenseman on his way out of New York. And who that is, I don't know. I'm not going to speculate, but I think that would be something that they'd look at, where they'd say, all right, if we can add another forward, we can move out a defenseman, we'll do it. And Fox may very well give them the ability to do that. There's a lot of young forwards there, and if they can add another veteran presence up front, I think that would be good for them. So we'll see what happens. And with Smashfest, which has raised about $1 million over the last 8 years for charity, Dominic Moore believes that it can be expanded. So he's talking about expanding to other cities, which makes me think, hey, as a hockey fan, during the summer, there's a lot of time where there's no hockey. It would be kind of fun if you had a big tournament for ping pong where you had a number of cities and a number of players. And he's talking about like Vancouver, Montreal, Canadian cities right now. Although I do think this would be a hit in the States as well. I know Vegas would be all over this. But if you had a number of tournaments, you could have them like these regional tournaments, and then just you can have the finals in Toronto. I think you could get this on television. I think you could get this on Sportsnet. You could get this on ESPN, even if it's the Ocho. You could get this on TV, and I think it would be fun to watch. It would be fun for me to do previews and reviews for. I would really enjoy that. I think that would be great. And then year after year, we could track stats and who's good and who isn't. We could look back to previous tournaments. I think it would be a lot of fun. So I'm really kind of, fingers crossed that this is going to be a thing. It gets expanded to other cities, and that it's this nice way. And players can't get hurt playing ping pong. So it's not something that people can get hurt doing. This reminds me of something I heard of Brian Burke the other day, and I know people don't listen to the radio like they used to, and people in the States might not hear this. But he was asked about whether or not there were clauses in contracts when he was general manager about not going rock climbing and doing really dangerous things where they could fall to their death. And he said no. He said, in fact, there are players that I had on my teams that I would have encouraged them to go rock climbing, and I would have bought them the equipment. Which, all hail Brian Burke. That was fan flipping tastic. Just amazing. And if you've been a fan of a team that he ran, you know exactly who he's talking about. I know exactly who he's talking about. So, from his Vancouver days, I know exactly who he would have said, hey, yeah, why don't you go skydiving? Leave the parachute down here. No, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Just don't worry about it. Don't ask your instructor. Just go. Anyways, so yeah, ping pong. And on to the final topic in this video, which is Ray Shero, apparently, according to the owner, Josh Harris, is still planning on making more moves. And I would agree that the New Jersey Devils, while they have a better roster on paper, and they look like they should be competitive, he could probably stand to make a couple more moves. With teams in the league that are cap-strapped, and New Jersey not really in a position where they are, he could pick somebody up. He could absolutely call a team that's having some problems and go, hey, we could pick this player up. If Ray Shero plays this right, the Devils can get back into the playoffs. The one thing that really hurts the whole playoff prediction thing, and I'm thinking about changing the entire format when I do my previews this year, is that there is so much parity. As much as we can look at New Jersey and go, well, yeah, they're not going back to the playoffs. Yeah, but they made it in 2018. 2019 was a season where just anything that could go wrong did go wrong. And now they've added some good players to this roster. Taylor Hall's going to come back. So, right? So that's why it gets really tricky and it gets really hard to predict. So I'm still debating about how I'm going to do. I've got another couple of weeks before I start my previews, and then we can get into that. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. And what do you think New Jersey Devils still need? Does Adam Fox become a star as soon as this season? Because again, we're talking up this rookie class. We do that every year. I did that last summer. I'm not doing that this summer, where I talk about how great the rookie class is going to be. Not this year. I'm not going to do that again, as much as part of me would really like to. But let me know what you guys think. Is Rittich paid right? I think that's about right. Let me know in the comment section below, as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for all your support. Seeing the numbers continue to go up on this channel is fantastic. And I take that as a great responsibility. So thank you guys so much for giving me that responsibility. And I'll talk to you again soon.